you're looking at a substance more valuable than gold. But in the 1600s, saffron wasn't just a seasoning for kings, it quietly became a weapon that could undermine entire economic systems and force the birth of modern taxation. This tiny, delicate purple flower didn't simply add color and aroma to royal feasts. With a value so extreme that it could humble traditional commodities, saffron systematically challenged ancient barter networks and helped engineer the sophisticated luxury taxes we still live with today. Forget everything you think you know about the spice trade. This is the untold story of how one fragile harvest in the fields of Europe helped reshape the global economy. To truly understand its power, we have to travel back to the 17th century world dominated by mercantilism. European empires operated under a simple, ruthless belief. The world's wealth was fixed, a zero-sum game measured strictly in gold and silver bullion. As trade exploded and economies grew, physical coins simply couldn't keep up with the demand. And then came Crocus sativus, the saffron crocus. Imagine this. To produce a single pound of the precious red threads, harvesters had to carefully pluck the stigmas from approximately 75,000 delicate flowers by hand. It was back-breaking, time-sensitive labor done in a narrow autumn window. The result? A hyper-dense, portable form of wealth that was nearly impossible to forge or counterfeit. In some medieval records, elites even used saffron to pay rent, treating those crimson threads almost like an alternative currency. This tiny spice became an immediate threat to state control. It bypassed the old, clumsy barter systems of grain, livestock, and land. Feudal taxation was failing badly. Lords and monarchs struggled to accurately assess and collect taxes on massive, unpredictable piles of everyday goods. Evasion was rampant. Saffron changed everything. European states quickly realized a crucial truth. It was far more lucrative and efficient to tax the desires of the elite rather than the necessities of the masses. They began implementing targeted excise taxes, what we now call ad valorem luxury taxes, duties based not on volume, but on the high value of the goods themselves. Governments set up strict customs checkpoints specifically designed to intercept, inspect, and appraise saffron shipments. The state transformed from a blunt instrument that seized physical crops into a sophisticated bureaucratic machine capable of calculating precise percentages of luxury transactions. Saffron, quite literally, helped fund the administrative backbone of the early modern state. But here's the irony that makes this story so fascinating. The heavier the state taxed saffron, the more its price skyrocketed. What was once relatively accessible in medieval medicine and spiritual rituals suddenly became the ultimate symbol of exclusivity. Eating saffron was no longer simply about taste or healing. It became an aggressive public display of wealth and political power. If you could afford a dish glowing deep yellow with saffron despite the crushing taxes, you were signaling to the entire court that your fortune was greater than the state's own machinery of extraction. The wealthy didn't consume it in spite of the tax. They consumed it because the tax made it rare, expensive, and status-defining. It perfectly embodied what sociologists would later call conspicuous consumption. Picture a lavish banquet in a candlelit European hall, nobles dressed in fine silks, musicians playing, and at the center of the table, a dish stained vibrant gold with saffron. Every bite was not just nourishment, it was a quiet declaration. I am above the rules that bind ordinary men. So the next time you glance at a luxury tax line on a receipt, or pay VAT on a high-end purchase, realize you're looking at a fiscal system whose foundations were laid over 400 years ago. Not by politicians arguing in grand halls alone, but by the quiet, irresistible economic force of a single delicate flower and the human desire for status it unleashed. The medieval world traded in goods, the modern world taxes desires, and remarkably, it all started with the humble, hand-harvested threads of a purple crocus